This is a video for March 28th, 2014 on the Treasuries contracts. And today was a bit of a difficult day, partly because there was a good move down in the Treasuries, but the challenge is that there was a lot of volume kind of opposing those moves as they were breaking out and going down, and so it looked a little tricky, and a lot of times it looked like it would be breaking down, but there's so much volume that it looked like they were trying to stop it, and icebergs, and lots of interesting counter trend action that was happening. Not really a lot of sweeps and things like that. So let's kind of go through and talk a little bit about the day and just some key points. So right now it's 9:30. It's the New York Open. Nothing really happened at the Treasury Open at 8:20. So that's fine. I skipped ahead. It pretty much, you can see the ZB contract here just in this really tight range. The ZN contract also in a fairly tight range, and not much going on even over here in the ZF. So I'm going to just kind of skip ahead here, and you can see it just kind of bounces around up here. You can see over here in the ZF, which is kind of interesting. It's kind of at its highs, and it had kind of broken through its high, its Globex high, and then everything else had kind of waned back. So a good indication that there was not quite some good synchronicity here in the contracts, which as you start here, you look at ZB, this is a little bit, to me, a little bit of a risky trade here, trading this breakout, because the ZF isn't following and neither is the ZN. So, this ZB action right here is not action that I would necessarily, for me, want to, participate in, because I don't know if it's just going to stop and turn back up and get to these higher levels as a result of where ZF and ZN is at. So you can see here as the ZN breaks down, it breaks out of the step here, this 22.5. And you can notice here, there's a big iceberg going on right here. The bears really want to bring this down, and the bulls are trying to hit back into it. And we're just going to fast forward here, and you can see what happened is that, just that typical action of the bears are absorbing, and now they're going to add a lot of price action here. Notice down here, 3,400 contracts, and they break through aggressively at that 22 area with 2,000 contracts. You can see I'm trying to get in here. I saw it a little bit late. It's just a little bit too slow, and what's going to happen here is it's going to go boom, 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 kind of test the lows. I kind of thought right here at this 22.5 it was going to try and test the lows here, and again, I got in late. I was too slow on the draw, and also not willing to come in here at 21.5 because I would have had to really risk back up here to 23, maybe even 24 if it kind of bounced back. And the ZF threw me off here as well. You can see the ZF hasn't really come down either. So it's kind of a missed opportunity there on that trade. And we can kind of see here as it comes down. The other thing, you can see the size trade here. 3,000 contracts. You can see here how much is in the book. There's just a lot of selling pressure happening, but there's also a lot of buying going on. So it's not like they're just getting swept away out of, with nothing. You got 1,800 contracts here, 1,000 here, and if we keep this going, you'll see that the bulls really try to make a kind of a play here, at the bottom, 1,600, and they kind of tick it up a couple ticks. And the bears are still active. You can see here this 3,100. You can kind of tell in the book, just give you kind of a difference here. When we come back here to where they were back ticking, you can see the book helps to give clues, and I love this power meter here. Because it kind of gives you clues as to who's kind of got pushing control, at least from a book perspective. So it gives me a quick and easy snapshot without having to add up numbers, which is kind of nice. But when you see that flip, when it's you're kind of in a downtrend, and you kind of see that you had a big strong down move, and then you see this flip, and we're going to see it right here. Notice the bulls have control, and then And part of that is this adding right here at the 21 level. Boom. Now you see that flip. The bulls had pulled, and then the bears came in pretty strong, and now they're coming in even stronger. And once you get to this like over 3,000, 4,000, 5,000 heavy on one side, then you've got some pretty good strength there. I'm just going to move ahead here. All right, so now we're at the lows, and so what kind of what you're looking at is you're looking for a sign that it's going to break the lows. Notice over here ZF is not quite there. ZB's already broken its lows and come down a few ticks, so that was a really good sign. Just kind of keeping an eye there on that. So once we get to this point, we'd broken through our lows, kind of back ticked a little bit, and I thought right about here, there's kind of a fight going on. The bears still have control. The bulls are trying to stop it right here. And just a really good example of that aggressiveness that's happening on both sides that makes you, really kind of nervous to trade this. So you saw that big iceberg on the bull side. The bears are trying to push us through. You're at your lows. Everything's, the 5 years coming down by the lows. The ZB's broken it. And so it just made me really nervous, though, to see these. I saw an iceberg there at 20 or 20 and a half, can't remember. But I saw an iceberg there on 20. And then I get into this trade, thinking I'm going to get maybe a good, 2 to 3, tick pop. And I'm sitting here waiting, then I see another iceberg. And when I saw that, I said, I'm out. I just need to get out of here. It ended up ticking one tick in my favor. So you can see here, look, 5,000, almost 6,000 contracts trade there. It trades down. So I would have had one tick. And then you see that immediate 3,500 print. So if I hadn't been out then, I would have been out. Or if I hadn't been out earlier, I would have been out then for sure. Because you don't want to see when you're in a trade, 2 icebergs in a row and then aggressive print back up. On the other side, that might be an opportunity for a fade trade. Come either join this or, at 19, looking for, a quick 2 to 3 tick pop back up. And you can see you actually did get, a small little pop back up. You can see that size came in, 7,000 contracts at 20 even. And that 20 even, incidentally, was where that first iceberg was at. So if we come back here, I can show you what that looked like. So we can come here and see. So you can see this first iceberg here at 20 even. This is where the bulls made their first stance, and then of course they came back and they hit 7,000 contracts back into there. So at this point, I don't know how to read the action. Honestly, there's just so much size trading it every time. The bears, are throwing all kinds of volume at these levels to push it down, and the bulls are there, in strength, and not quite sure, how to handle those kinds of moves. I'm just looking for sweeps. I'm looking for places where it'll retrace back to. In this case, I was hoping it would retrace back here to 22 even, kind of watching that area, and it only retraced back to 21 and a half. I thought maybe it would tick right up there. And at a minimum, I thought maybe it'll take just a few contracts into 22, and that's a sign that the bulls can't take that price. But they take 2,000 contracts at 21 and a half, and I thought there was at least another tick to be had right up at 22. So I was kind of waiting for that, maybe looking at a trade at 21 and a half or 22, but I missed the boat. So it ends up kind of reversing here at this point, and then kind of dropping down. And notice, here again, I love the strength meters. I'm starting to use them more to help me gauge, where the strength is. You can see all of them are red, very strongly red too. And so you can see the bears certainly have control, and a lot of times that's good for a couple ticks. But again, here we are, we're hitting the lows, and look at the active bulls that are putting back in. They're putting 2,400 contracts back in. And that might be bears that are taking profit, because the book is still very strongly in favor of the bears. But anyway, that's kind of the day. Like if you just keep looking at this every time the bears looked like they were going to break through, the bulls came in and either strength by setting up an iceberg, or by hitting back in strength in back into the offer. So I had a really hard time reading today and understanding where I should get in without getting trapped into these back ticks that were taking place. And even again right here, look, you've got 5,100 contracts trading right here, went down a couple ticks and then came back. So bit of a frustrating day for me, at least with the ZN. And I had one scratch trade, and then I missed what I thought was really the best setup of the day was earlier, and missed that as well. But a very good day to kind of observe and see a unique day where you've got strength on both sides, and yet the move, there's still a strong move in one direction.